Today we're going to talk about distributive property. A lot of you should have seen this in the past. I've already seen many people do it this year, try to do it and use it improperly. So you have to remember that distributive property is multiplication. Right? It's basically multiplication just in a different order. So I'm sure most of you remember when you have a number beside parentheses, it means to multiply. But if you have more than one thing in the parentheses, it means you need to multiply it by everything within. So that means we're going to have to do 8 times x, which is 8x. Whatever sign's here, we're going to keep, so it's a plus, and 8 times 4 is 32. Alright, so in example 3, this is a negative 3. So you have to do negative 3 times 2y, which is negative 6y. Negative 3 times, this is where you gotta be careful. This is where keep, change comes in handy. If you put plus negative 4, then you know to multiply. Negative 3 times negative 4, and you get positive 12. So that's one way to do it. You could also read it as, let's say that you don't like that keep, change thing. You can, oops, hold on, let me erase it. We can still do the negative 3 times 2, which is negative 6y. Keep the minus, and then do negative 3 times 4, which is negative 12. And 6y minus negative 12 is going to be the same thing as adding positive 12. So you have a couple of different options for that. Alright, so just really quick, reminder of our rules. So if you have the following expressions, you're going to have a times b plus a times c. You can distribute backwards. You can do b times a plus c times a. We already did one like this. You're going to have a times b minus a times c. And this one's the one you got to be careful of. So you have to do a times b first. And then subtract a times c. So really, these ones are your safe guys, and then these ones are the ones you gotta be careful of, but this guy is the one you really have to be careful of. You don't want to write AC minus AB, then you're changing the problem. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and distribute quickly. 5 times 4 is 20. And 5 times 3 is 15. A. Done. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 4y is 12y. This is where you need to do keep, change. So you're going to add a negative 6, and then I want you to distribute negative 6 into that problem. That just gets iffy. When you're subtracting a whole group, you have to distribute that subtraction sign. That's just how it works. So you're going to have negative 12x minus 6y. And then hopefully we remember that if you have like terms, so basically the same letter and the same exponent, you can combine the numbers in front. So that's going to make negative 9x plus 6y. That's your answer. Alright, so like we said, like terms contain the same letter and the same exponent. So let's draw a box around anything that's a like term with x. So I'm looking for any x terms. So that's not an x, that's an x cubed. Here's an x term. Here's an x term. These guys are all the same. Let's circle the y term. So nope, it's y squared. Oh, here's a y term. And here's a y term. And maybe we'll draw a triangle around the x cubed term. So a triangle, oh, here's an x cubed term. And then there's nothing that goes with y squared and x squared. That's it. Alright, so we're going to work with coefficients. Remember that word that means the number in front of the variable. For example, if I have 3p squared, 3 is your coefficient, and that's the number that you work with. So when we're combining like terms, you're actually combining their coefficients. You might be adding, you might be subtracting. Depends on the sign. Right, so look at number 4. You have an x term, an x term, and an x term. You can combine all of these. So 6 plus 5 minus 3 is going to give us 8. And the term is x. I have a y squared and a y squared. So I'm going to do 2 minus 8, and I get negative 6 y squareds. And then I'm going to combine my y terms to get negative 2y. The only things we can combine in example 6 is w and negative 6w. So that gives us negative 5w. And we just tack on that 2t. Go ahead and try 7 and 8. Pause this video and then unpause it when you're done. Alright, so my answers, I got 6x squared minus 2. And I got 3x plus 9y. So that's it. The only difference with these is you have to distribute twice. That's really it. So if I distribute my negative 4 times 2 is negative 8x. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12y. 3 times 5 is a 15y. 3 times negative x is negative 3x. So that would all go up here. And then you just combine your like terms. So I see an x and an x. Negative 8 minus 3 gives us negative 11 x's. And negative 12 and 15 gives us a positive 3y. Same thing with number 10. Go ahead and distribute. You're going to get negative 12b plus 8a. Okay. Again, you see this minus 5. We're going to put just a plus in here to keep them separated. That way we can pair up the minus and make it negative 5. So negative 5 times 2 is negative 10a. Negative 5 times 3. I'm going to keep this minus. And negative 5 times 3 is negative 15b. Right away I see minus minus. We're going to change that to adding. So it looks like I'm going to combine my b terms to get 3b. And I'm going to combine 8 and minus 10 to make negative 2. Alright, so the last problem is one that I wanted to draw your attention to. A lot of kids mess this up. You have to remember from that commutative property, whether you do 4 times 3 or 3 times 4, you still get the same answer. It's 12. So when you're multiplying, the order does not matter. So we got to look for, again, same letter and same exponents. So this one has an x and a y. Nope, that's a y squared. Yes, this one has an x and a y. So we're going to pair those two together. Then I look here, I have a y squared and an x, a y squared and an x. So those can be combined. So you're going to have 1xy plus 3xy squared. So just watch out for that. You can always switch the order of your letters. It doesn't matter because when you multiply, you're going to get the same thing anyway. So keep that in the back of your mind.